I'm gonna provide some advances of what we have been doing here together with Luis Rivera and Marco Palma. We are doing a pretty different approach of the things that I have been seeing today. It's my first time attending to one of these groups meetings. It's been pretty informative, so thank you. We are in the socioeconomic analysis group, and we have some interesting advances. Well, this is more or less what I'm gonna go through in these few minutes. Um, we have some context of an increasing demand of certain sustainable or carefree um, characteristics in the from the demand side in the rose production. Based on that, what we want to do is to analyze the potential socioeconomic impacts of different production processes. Basically, we want to compare, make an economic analysis of four different types of production processes: the field via budding, the container production, the on-route production, and the greenhouse gas production. So this approach is pretty data intense, and this is the biggest challenge that we have been facing so far, is to build all the different budgets that we want to create to start doing this analysis and making them specific for the specific type of products. So we have to find specific data on and costs on inputs and output values for the different production processes. Based on that, we build these enterprise budgets. With that, we sort of extrapolate into the future in a sort of net present value analysis and calculate future flows of revenues and costs based on the different type of production, and then we compare across them. The next step is when we have a clear idea of these different budgets and we parameterize the budgets pretty well. The next step that we are trying to do is to incorporate this in a different sort of analysis, going beyond as just a financial analysis, incorporate this into this sort of general equilibrium models when we can have not only the direct effects for a particular project, but also indirect effects on other areas in the economy. And finally, afterwards, we use that as another input to calculate benefit costs analysis. So I'm going to walk you through these different stages and what we have so far. We have been working and collecting data. As I mentioned, this is this production, this sort of analysis and the creating of these enterprises budgets specific for the different type of products, production processes are very data intense. So that's the biggest challenge that we have so far. Then afterwards, after that, the data collection, we have been incorporating, as I mentioned, this into the different budgets that we are creating, enterprise budgets that we are creating. We have scanned data from online information, reviewed several scholarly articles. Also, we have been looking at industry manuals, looking at all these different sources. But again, even by looking all around, we find that data is somewhat limited and very challenging when you want to create this type of specific cost production information budgets. Anyways, we have been able to build some preliminary results. We find that different characteristics distinctive for the different production processes. The field production is more labor intense than the others, so it's going to be, we interpret that this is going to create more challenges and it's going to be more sensitive to challenges in wages or anything that affects labor. Then liner plants are more expensive in the way of they are transported, so they are going to be more sensitive at anything that affects the transportation costs. It will be affecting this sort of production process more easily. And then the budded plants involve higher upfront costs. You need a higher sunk cost at the beginning, initial cost. So again, having access to different sort of soft lines of loans may be more sensitive to this sort of type of production. We still are in the process of refining these budgets. We have some, again, preliminary results, as I mentioned. We're still in the stage of refining this. We still want to refine a specific type of specific production type of specific labor costs, more specific details on the gasoline expenses and the energy expenses, and also in the fixed costs overhead. We want to refine all those parameters to calibrate better the budgets to fit very specific again on these different type of productions. We want to go and look and talk with the producers to see if these numbers that we are looking at and the budgets that we are building really make sense for them. I mean, talking with the experts that's gonna shed some light on the problem. Afterwards, what we think is, as I mentioned, this is just the first step to be used in a sort of general equilibrium model. In that one, we are going to use a specific one that is called implant. Based on that, we are going to be able to measure not only the direct but also the indirect effects in the this model that represents the overall economy, not only the roses production, but that embedded in other sectors in the economy. And based on that, we are going to do, I mean, these models, these equilibrium models are a relationship of exogenous and endogenous variables that create a system of equations that they end up creating a sort of equilibrium of results, values for those endogenous variables. So then you can play, you can do different scenarios where you change these exogenous variables, and that creates a sort of cascade effects in all the endogenous variables. That's mathematically that's how it works. So when we create that for the for this problem, what we do is change some things within the production processes in the ROS production, and then that's going to cascade on changes in other areas in the economy. Based on that, we can have an idea of sort of benefit cost analysis based on these changes. And those are the next stages. Hopefully for the next meeting, we are going to have more results in this other area. That's what we have so far. So I'm open to questions, concerns, comments.